So yeah, yes, I'm making a third video for today, and yes, I'm going off of a list and everything, but whatever, fuck me in my life. This is why I can crank out videos hella quick, because a lot of times, half the videos I can make like this and just bullshit and the other whatnot. The other half I could probably sit here and do it like this as well, but I sometimes rather be somewhere that relates to the topic of what I'm talking about. Anyways, time travel abilities. Yes, I would like to be able to time travel if I could, but not for the reason that you think. Not to go fix past mistakes or tell myself this or whatever the fuck, or try to save myself from certain things or whatever. I wouldn't try to change my life. Actually, I would rather time travel for a whole another fucking reason. Maybe you might be in the same position that I'm in, but maybe not. But fuck it, let's get into the reasons of why I would have liked to try and time travel and see if you's in the same positions. Well, let's see. Oh. So, y'all know I live in the desert of Southern California. Go fuck yourself, piece of paper. Anyways, I would like to time travel to go back in the time in my area. One, because I know the Salton Sea was a big poppin' place back in the 50s. And I've been out there over the last 10 years. So you're talking 60 fucking years later. 60, 65 years later, you got some dork like me who's nerding out like, oh my god, cool, whatever. And then you got like Eagle Mountain out there. That was a big mining town in Southern California, up in the mountains, on the way from Southern California to Arizona off the I-10. That would be cool to go to those places back in the day and see what life was like back then. See what was going on back in those days. Enjoy the atmosphere and the vibe and all that type of shit. I would also love to go back in time to see what glamorous sand dunes was like back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 50s and the 90s and shit, right? When I was about yay high, right? Just to see all the old stuff that people were riding and driving back in those days, and just seeing what the vibe was like back then, because back then the vibe was and the energy was so different compared to it is now. And I know in like 40, 50 years from now, our vibe's probably going to look the exact same as it is for us from 50 years ago, right? I would love to go back in the day to go see all that shit. And even out in my area, we got Whitewater out here, and then Edom Hill and Indio Hills and shit, like where my dad rode back in the freaking mid to late 80s and shit, when they first moved out here from Santa Cruz, right? So, and my dad took me out to Whitewater when the river was flowing and there was everybody out there riding, but I was, again, yay high, right? I wasn't even 10 years old. I wasn't even started riding yet. So I was out there playing in the desert, in the water, and Dad and I were out hiking around and shit and whatever. And I kind of vaguely, like, that was 25 plus years ago, right? So, but it's just, I would love to be able to go back in time to all, like, at different, like, times and experience different things at different times in my general area out here. Experience what Palm Springs was like in the 50s, and experience what the glamorous sand dunes were like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and experience like what I experienced back in the 90s and early 2000s as a kid out in Whitewater and this and that, and just like, it's more for a nostalgic reason than it is for anything else, right? And I mean, it would also be nice to be able to, in today's day and age, go find myself a piece of property, like a piece of dirt somewhere that I really like, that I would love to be able to put a house on and this and that and whatever. That would cost way too goddamn much money in today's day and age to buy and doing all that shit, because it is 2025 going into 2026 in a month and a half, 2 months. But find that property and then go back in time, figure out who owns it, or if it's owned by the state or county or whatever, and be like, hey, I want to buy this piece of property and leave it to my grandchild, myself, and have it handed, the deed handed to them on this date at this time and this place. And then that way, basically, I can have, 10, 20, 30 acres at like $10 an acre or $5 an acre back in those days, or whatever it was, for like fucking nothing. And then I could go out there and whatever. Y'all get the point. But love y'all. Be safe. Let me know down in the comments section what y'all would like to do if you could ever go back in time and do or see or whatever. Love y'all. Be safe. Catch you guys on the flip side. And I love you. I love you.